readers, welcome to Book Chat here on the Shelf Addiction Podcast. I am your host, Tamara Ford, and if you'd like to chat with me about anything that I cover in this episode, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Shelf Addiction, or in the Facebook group Shelf Addiction Official. Before we get started, I want to share with you one of the ways to support the Shelf Addiction Podcast. If you enjoy this show and the content that I produce, please share this podcast with someone that would enjoy it or on your favorite social media channel. It's been forever since I've posted a more personal update sort of podcast. First, I'm going to start with Washington State book nerd Shenanigans. Yes, I spent Labor Day weekend in the Seattle, Washington area. So while in Washington, I spent some time in the suburbs. We spent some time in Redmond. We saw a little bit of Bellevue. And of course, then we spent some time in the downtown Seattle area. Did some really touristy things, which was really fun. Drank lots of wine and cocktails. Great food. And then, of course, we went a little bit north to an island called Whidbey. It was so picturesque. It really had all the Washington vibes, all the quote-unquote Twilight vibes, you know, with the huge evergreen trees and the rocky beaches and the nice little farmhouses with a great pie spot, and again, more wine, beautiful landscapes. It was a really gorgeous state. That's the only place that I visited where when I got home, I said, wow, I could really live there. So if you live in Washington State, props to you, because that's really awesome. And if you've been there, you've got to let me know some of the places that you've been and where you would recommend, because I definitely see more Seattle area trips in my future. But of course, I wasn't there alone. I was there with 3 book bloggers, 1 series co-host, Casey and Nicola, and they are 2 amazing women, and we had a blast together hanging out, drinking, talking. We even did some Facebook lives. So if you're not in Facebook official, you'll want to join to see those lives. They're still there. And of course, my Instagram has all the photos. So we had a really fun time, and we did some lives to try to bring you guys with us. We saw some really fun bookstores, independent bookstores, and one that was actually really funny. We actually did a live there. There was this owner. He was hilarious. I think he was some kind of comedian or something, and he had this puppet that creeped us the freak out. Oh my God, we're giggling so hard and talking about this puppet in one of the lives, so you don't want to miss that. So anyway, yeah, that was an amazing trip, and that was over Labor Day weekend. So yeah, that's what I did. If you guys want to share with me what you did over your Labor Day weekend, I'd love to hear that. Alrighty, so now that I've talked about the trip and the lives, I want to tell you about what's going on in Shelf Addiction Official with the 3 Bloggers 1 series project that's here on the podcast. We are actually in the process of voting for our fall read-along series, and I think it's going to be good fun. So it's been a while since we had a vote, but I'm really excited that we decided to do a vote for the fall, because it's a 3-book trilogy, and it really will show me kind of like participation. So if you want your chance to kind of cast your vote and pick what we're going to read next, the vote is open until September 17th. So you still have, I think, 6 days to get in on the vote, but you do have to join the group. So up for selection are these 3 titles, or series rather. We have the Hidden Legacy trilogy by Ilona Andrews, and I'm going to read a little bit about it so you kind of have, an idea. But of course, please go to Goodreads, the author's websites, and other places to find out more. So here's the synopsis for Hidden Legacy. New York Times best-selling author Ilona Andrews launches a brand new Hidden Legacy series in which a woman must place her trust in a seductive, dangerous man who sets off even more dangerous desire. It's a story of a woman who exists in a world very much like her own, except this world revolves around houses and magic dynasties. They own corporations, they dominate politics, they feud with each other. It's a story of over-the-top adventure, flashy magic, and an unlikely romance between Nevada Baylor, who knows people who lie to her, and Mad Rogan, a billionaire mage who wields an almost godlike power. Now, I have to say, I have already read this one, and it is exceptional. It is very good. If you like, a strong leading lady like I do and an alpha male, but not a, douchebag of an alpha male, I think that this might be a good fit for you. But although I'm not going to get all into spoilers, but Rogan, he's got his times where you're just like, wow, ooh, he's awful. But you know how we do with the brooding alpha men. You know how they are. Okay, so the next trilogy up for vote is Menagerie by Rachel Vincent. And this synopsis reads, from New York Times bestselling author Rachel Vincent comes a richly imagined, provocative series set in the dark mythology of the menagerie. Menagerie is a commercial fantasy exploring the meaning of humanity in a world where non-human beings may only live in captivity. Now, this one, I did read book 1. I did not read the entire trilogy, but I thought it was very imaginative and different from anything I'd read in a really long time. If you kind of like the feeling of creatures that you would see like in a menagerie. So it's called Menagerie. The politics of all of that, them, having that system where they have to be the alpha who's on top, them helping each other against the humans, all of that type of thing. It's really magical. I mean, you wouldn't think that something that's so dark in topic can come off as magical. It's really vibrant from what I remember, but it is very dark as well. But it's definitely something different. So if Hidden Legacies is like your bubblegum, fun, easy to digest, this may be a little bit heavier. Last but not least is The Kingmaker Chronicles by Amanda Boucher. And this is the synopsis. Catalina Catfisa is a powerful clairvoyant known as the Kingmaker. She has no interest in her powers and would much rather fly under the radar, far from the clutches of her homicidal mother. But when an ambitious warlord captures her, she may not have a choice. So that definitely, just looking at the cover art, it really has this Wonder Woman flair to it. So it just depends. I see a fire-laden sword. I see a woman with a cape. So we've got really 3 different, very different stories here. So take your pick and come to the group and vote, because starting in October, I think this will be announced probably the 18th, the next day after the vote. So you'll have more than enough time to check out your local library or go head on over to Amazon or your local indie bookstore and pick up a copy of whatever first book we're going to start with October 1. So I think I was pretty quick with letting you know all of the things going on recently. You have a synopsis of the books we're voting on. Head on over, join the group, and let's do this thing for the fall. Get excited. It's sweater weather time. It's cozy time. It's time to grab your coffee or tea, grab your book, and stay in and read, because it's too cold to go outside and it gets dark at 6 o'clock. Well, at least in the Midwest anyway. So I'm going to end things there. If you like this type of podcast and you want to hear something like this from me every, month or so to kind of just update you with what's going on and what's coming to the blog and podcast, I will be happy to jump on and do it. Just let me know if that's something that you guys like. So that's it for today. And until next time, happy reading. Take care, guys. If you enjoyed today's book chat episode and would like to show your support, there are a few things you can do. Head on over to Apple Podcast and leave a positive 5-star review. You can follow me on Twitter at Shelf Addiction. Most importantly, you can share this podcast with friends and family that enjoy all things bookish, including author interviews. Thank you for listening, and until next time, happy reading.